Hello, everyone. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro, along with Jessica Tarloff, Jesse Waters, Kayleigh McEnany, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. We are so excited. The Democrats' favorite loser is back. Kamala Harris is emerging from political hibernation to give a speech that's already getting mocked to high heaven.
So look, some people are describing what's been happening in recent months as absolute chaos. And of course, I understand why. And it's certainly true of those tariffs. Tariffs that, as I predicted, are clearly inviting a recession. And folks, what we are experiencing right now is exactly what they envisioned for America. Right now, we are living in their vision for America. But this is not a vision that Americans want.
But let's get to the elephant in the room. Harris digressed in her speech to babble about the giant creatures.
Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago, the one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake? And as soon as they felt the earth shaking beneath their feet, they got in a circle and stood next to each other to protect the most vulnerable. Think about it. What a powerful metaphor.
And this will certainly sting her ego. President Trump is still beating Kamala.
Who'd be doing a better job as president? Guess who comes out on top? Within the margin of error, but comes out on top. This is not like the election result, right? Trump 45%, 2 points ahead of Harris at 43%. 12% say they'd be doing about the same. But this is the key nugget here. It's not just about regretting that vote. It's literally saying who would be doing the better job right now. And Trump continues to score a higher percentage of the vote than Kamala Harris. This looks a heck of a lot like the election result.
You know, Jessica, the Dems continue to put Kamala out there, and we are glad to see her back. But they say that they're clamoring for her voice now. Are you clamoring for Kamala's voice?
I am not, but I also have a particular employment situation where the way that I see Kamala is different than the way other Democrats see her. I mean, she hasn't really been out there that much. I mean, this was her comeback event, and it's been a few months, obviously, since the election. And yes, the elephant story didn't necessarily land, but she was talking about some important themes that are resonant with Democrats right now. She had this line about Trump being a vessel for an agenda that has been decades in the making, about slashing public education, privatizing the government, shrinking it, all the while giving people who are wealthy tax breaks. And that will be the message that Democrats are moving with. Kamala will not be our nominee in 2028. Maybe she runs for governor. I am not sure about that. But unsurprisingly, it was not nearly as bad as you are making it out to be.
Who? Me?
You. Yes,
yeah.
You.
Well, the amazing part of it is that with the 92% of the bad press Trump's been getting, he still beats her. Okay, Jesse, you know, she's talking about the fact that the president is abandoning American ideals. I guess kind of like what happened when Biden abandoned everybody in Kabul and when the president decided to let the hostages stay there for 470 days and when he allowed 12 million illegals in. I mean, does she have her, you know, her ideas straight?
No, everyone's just talking about elephants. She gives this big speech, elephants. That's the only thing that came out of this. Jessica, she just said Kamala's not going to be the nominee. Well, with Jessica's track record, she is.
What is wrong with you? And I wasn't even wrong about the election.
I'm sorry. I couldn't
sorry.
help myself.
You actually are never sorry, so please stop faking it.
Did you know that elephants are actually protecting the vulnerable, and elephants are actually the Republican symbol? Oh, I don't even know if she realized that. But the analogy she was making was this, is that the Democrats need to just stop investigating the election, looking for new leadership, coming up with new ideas, and they just need to blindly come together and form a mob of flesh for protection and survival. That's really not the time to do that. And that's not what the Democratic Party needs right now. They don't need to just go back to that mob mentality and become an unthinking, unfeeling machine. And her advice is dumb. When she's talking about chaos, she paid a consultant to tell her to say that. And that's not what the country's experiencing. There are doers and there are talkers. And there's an old saying, Jessica, that talkers should do more and doers should talk more. And she's a talker. And Trump's a doer. And he's taking a lot of action.
Constantly.
Also. And he's taking a lot of risk. And Greg talks about risk a lot.
I do.
Risk takers are what makes this country great. It's what makes great leadership. And what he's doing is he's taking on things that if other politicians have let languish, trade, crime, border, culture. And he's taking on these things at great risk to himself politically. And this is like a guy that takes the last second shot in a basketball game, or a general that invades a country when no one else thinks he has a shot. These are the types of things that make a difference in history, and he's the one doing it. And all she's doing is blah, blah, blah about elephants.
Well, you know, elephants are important. And I think for you, Greg, as a new father, you know, her love for yellow buses and seeing what it was at the moon with your own eyes, and now it's the elephants. I mean, she is a leader in her own way.
She'd make a great babysitter. You know, Jess, you got a good point. The elephants are Republicans. What did they do when they sensed fear? They built a wall.
They did.
Yeah, elephants never forget, but Kamala's too drunk to remember. It is such a healthy contrast. It's good to compare where you are with what you could have been and where you were in the past. As long as she keeps talking, we will always be reminded, thank God we didn't get that. You know, every time I get furious with Jessica, and it's not often, but it happens, I remember what was there before. And I suddenly become very grateful.
Oh, you're bad.
You know, when you're a DEI choice, you know, like Kamala, you're like the jock in high school. The teachers know not to grade you the way they grade other people. People make excuses for your tardiness, your obliviousness, your entitlement, because your presence is enough. That's, you know, the way a jock fulfills the goal as the sports reputation. Kamala was that for diversity, for equity, equality, but she didn't have to do anything else. The lesson here is identity is not enough. You put all your eggs in the woke box, you never get a leader. You only get the box the leader comes in. But I do have an idea, and I think Kamala should do this. Netflix should create an alternative history series, you know, like Man in the High Castle, about Kamala winning, and she plays herself. They could recreate the White House. She could be in it. This is $1 billion idea. I would write it. And it could be a parallel universe where she shows up every day as though she's the president, and we could do a real-time comparison.
That's like what they did with Biden.
Yes, exactly.
You're right.
They already have that.
That is
No, this is real, though. Better than Veep.
The amazing part of Kamala is that she raised so much money. It was $2 billion and went through it. And she thinks she can continue to raise money to win an election?
Yeah.
What do you think?
She thinks she can. Look, she's leading in every poll I've seen of the Democratic primary. Now, that could change. She has huge name ID. I get that. But currently, you're looking at the de facto nominee, if you were to believe the polls. Her speech, her coming out speech, was very on brand, especially the earthquake story about elephants and the San Diego Zoo. Very on brand, very Kamala. So she kept to tradition there. I think, though, if you look at this, she lost big. There's no denying that. Donald Trump was the first Republican president to win the popular vote in 20 years. He had the highest raw vote total of any Republican president ever in history. He increased his Latino support by 13, Black support by 15, young support by 19, and every state and jurisdiction, with very few exceptions, moved right. So this person delivered one of the biggest losses for the Democrats. She will deliver a massive loss for Democrats. Again, you saw CNN, they couldn't even believe their own polling. People think Trump would do a better job. There's an Emerson poll that reflects that.
Right.
She lost once. She will lose again. And if Democrats want to engage in the art of kamikaze politics, by all means, because it's going to go zoom, and that will be the end.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.